so I'm going to mention a few additional things. But we have a great team. Our city council and our treasurer, Irv Lowenberg, Allison Bettis, and our city administration, John, who we just met, and our city administrator, Fred Zorn. You know, we hear a lot about dysfunction in the state and federal government. We don't have that at the Southfield City Council. Now, we don't always get along, which is a good thing, really, different opinions. But some of you that have been around a long time might remember the wild old days with all kinds of not so nice behavior. So we're polite. And if we do disagree, we duke it out in private, not physically, of course. So, and I really enjoy working with this council. We truly respect one another and work well together. It's been really a pleasure to work with this group of people. So, I've divided up this year's State of the City. We have 5 or 6 categories that we're going to look at. And we have challenges, of course. Everybody's got challenges. Life is full of challenges. And we've come out of a pandemic that actually I think we're doing quite well considering what has transpired the last couple of years and what we're faced with, the construction costs, interest rates. So it's, you know, it's never easy, but as you'll see, we have a lot of progress. So in our new developments, we're always in competition for business. Other people, you just saw where the Detroit City Council gave a whopping $800 million tax benefit for District Detroit. We're all competing, and we have you know, a changing workplace. When I go out in the community to the businesses, I tell all the business owners, many of them agree with me, that get your people back to work. We talk about mental health. Get out of your pajamas and join the world again. And while you're at it, while you're back at work, make sure you go lunch someplace in Southfield. So we're, and of course we have changing retail, and we're going to talk more about that when we get to the Northland section. And of course financing and interest rates are today are really a challenge, but things are happening nonetheless. So this project, the Northland Costco, has been on again, off again. I mean, we've been talking to them since 2016. So it is finally on. The land has been cleared. And this will be a first for Michigan. This is a new model Costco. But if you have a Costco membership, you can shop at the Northland Costco. It's a smaller store and it has greater bulk. Their focus is for small businesses, hotels, groceries, and restaurants. But they will carry many of the things, and if you're one of these people that likes to buy in bulk, you'll be able to do that at the Northland Costco. They are expecting that this Costco will open by December. Once they get rolling, they move pretty quickly. So we've, once again, this is going to be on the corner of Northwestern Highway and JL Hudson Drive. And it's kind of where, if you're thinking visually where that is, there used to be the Vibe Credit Union there. Years ago, if you're a long timer, it was Stouffer's Restaurant. and then where Target was. It's in that southwest corner of Northland. So we're extremely excited to have that. And here's another thing that's really exciting. Tesla. First, yeah. And feel free to applaud any time. But Tesla is coming to Southfield. This is the first service center. If you have a Tesla automobile and need a service center, you have to go to Chicago. So you won't be able to, this is going to be on South Telegraph, but it's in off the street. So it's below 9 Mile, but there'll be signage. And of course, if you own a Tesla, you'll know where to find it. But we're really excited about this. And this is, this is in our tech corridor, although it's a automobile service center. It is, that car has lots of technological components, so it's quite fitting there. We're always looking for good grocery stores, and I wish I was by there the other day, and I wish I had updated the picture because it's really coming along. As you know, south of Tel 12, Northwestern Highway and Telegraph is New Seoul Plaza, the restaurant, the Korean restaurant that's done extremely well, even through COVID. And now is on the adjoining property. They bought the former Copper Canyon and didn't totally tear it down. And I'm a big believer in adaptive reuse. We can't, as a society, we throw so much away. It's wasteful, and where does all this stuff end up? It ends up in a landfill. So the bones of the Copper Canyon are now becoming the New Seoul gourmet market. They will have, of course, Asian food, but they will also have many things. It's going to be, we need food options in the city, so we're glad to welcome this. Again, talking about adaptive reuse, as you know, the AMC Star Theater closed, and Triumph Church has bought it. They have not begun any work on it, but we've seen the plans. They will have the sanctuary will seat about 1,500, and they'll, as Triumph does now, they have rotating or multiple services at different hours. So, of course, some of the neighbors on 12 Mile were concerned about traffic. Can't do anything in Southfield without somebody concerned about traffic, but they've assured us that because they're staggering the services and the fact that there's exit to Northwestern Highway, it's not totally, the traffic's not totally obviously going to be on 12 Mile. And then below, it was opened as the Best Western. It's changed names. It's now the Radisson. And it's got a new restaurant there. But they had way too many rooms. So there's the tower and the extended stay, which is a 2-story wing. And this 5-story wing is now going to be memory care. It's a separate building, and it's being renovated for memory care. Then here's another success story. Enterprise Rent-A-Car has been on Telegraph Road for years, and they've done extremely well here. So this is their third iteration. They're now they've gotten, with each time they've moved on Telegraph, they've gotten bigger, and now they're building at Garner and Telegraph, which is like 9.5 Mile. They're building this major service center. We've had many, many new businesses. This is just a few. I'm not going to read them all, but every one of these is doing extremely well, and some of them are small businesses, entrepreneurs. Many of them are minority-owned or women-owned. So we've been out this year Lenny Taylor and myself, cutting quite a few ribbons. As you know, if you've been in Southfield a long time, 9 Mile, especially in the Greenfield area, used to be a very hopping place. We're now reinvesting in it. And we've got something really exciting going on. This is a multi-jurisdictional project. You know, we've been adding trailways for years, and as we add these urban pathways, we're trying to take the auto-dominated edge off Southfield and make it more pedestrian-friendly. And so we've added these pathways, and we're doing that on 9 Mile. We'll fill in the gaps where there are no sidewalks. But most importantly, this is going to connect, starting with I-75 in Hazel Park, through Ferndale, Oak Park, Southfield, Farmington Hills, all the way to 275. And if you recall, on 275, there's a long pathway that goes to northern parts of Oakland County, Novi, Wixom, and so on. So this is the first start. We've got a study grant for $50,000 from SEMCOG, the Southeastern Michigan Council of Governments. Oakland County Economic Development has put in $50,000. We've got a $50,000 grant from the Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan, and we're applying for more grants. What we're going to do, and especially, this is very important, with Northland coming online and being the northern border of that corridor, it's extremely important that we work to revitalize 9 Mile, make it more exciting. So the first phase, if you're having trouble, this is Greenfield over here. Providence Hospital is here. This is Southfield Road. This is Evergreen Road, Barbara Woods Park, and this is Lasher. And the red dots are places where we're looking to install public art or some kind of dynamic streetscape to improve the corridor. As you may know, if you drive 9 Mile, this fall we added the pathway here. You'll see later on in this presentation when we get to Parks and Rec, you'll see that more money is going to be spent on Barbara Woods. And then we're partnering also with the Torch of Wisdom Foundation over at Lasher. And then we also are planning to continue this sidewalk from Barbara Woods, which is Prescott to Evergreen, all the way over to Lasher. So again, there's no sidewalk. And we're trying to make Southfield a much more walkable community. This is going to take years. It's not going to be done overnight, but phase 1 is the 3 miles Greenfield to Lasher. I want you all to stay afterwards because we're going to have a few refreshments. But we've hit on something that has become really, really very popular. 2 years ago, the lobby of City Hall nothing had happened to it in years. It was looking very tired, and honestly, the wallpaper was kind of dirty. So I convinced the city council and city administration, let's take everything down. And, you know, we didn't throw anything away. We just found other places for some of the stuff that was there. And honestly, there were things stuck here and stuck here with no kind of rhyme or reason. So the first thing we did was a display celebrating the centennial of the 19th Amendment, the women's right to vote. And then we did a Black History and Juneteenth. And then originally we were looking for artists, and several people we contacted said, well, I'm not quite ready for that. And anyhow, we borrowed some stuff from a gallery, and the next thing you know, we now have a waiting list. And every 3 months, we're featuring 2 or 3 different artists. This month, this current exhibit will be out there until June 30th. And then we're going to feature some Asian artists. We're trying to also make it diverse. But the work is just stellar, and there are pieces out there. One of them is Ray Wells. I don't know if any of you know of him. 92 years old, and he's a very prolific artist. So be sure to check it out. Our latest installation is the butterfly sculpture, and this is going to be, there's room up front, come on down. This is going to be on Northwestern Highway outside of Eaton Corporation. There's a whole thing with it where, the monarch butterfly is under threat. Its habitat in Mexico has been shrinking. And of course, it's a pollinator. It's a very important species. And so we're doing a butterfly garden with this sculpture. And we thank Eaton Corporation. It's on the new trailway outside from Lasher down to Civic Center where there was no path. So we'll have that sculpture. And that's the other thing I want to point out. Not only are we putting in paths, but we're trying to make it interesting. So I encourage you all, especially as the weather gets hopefully warmer. Yesterday was miserable. And I was out walking in it. So on the pathways that we've finished, we have everything from bike repair stations to doggy rest stations with dog bones. We have bird houses. We have all sorts of art. You may remember a few years ago when we did the Red Pole Park, and there was a lot of derision about the Red Pole Park. And it's really very similar to a lot of art. It doesn't matter to me that you don't like it. And I don't say that in disrespect. I mean, that's great. It should evoke feelings. And what's happened with the Red Pole Park is that people now find it very endearing. And if you go online, you see all these pictures people have taken at the Red Pole Park. There's one picture is my favorite. It's a woman jumping in the air with an umbrella, red and white umbrella, and she's red and white dressed, and she's, and then recently we had a horse and carriage go through in the snow. So there's, again, it adds vibrancy to our city. It makes it more interesting. And it's not just walking. You just see things along the way. So we encourage you to walk or bike. Well, of course, roads is always a topic. And we never have enough money for roads. But here's what's happening this year. We're doing a bigger focus in neighborhoods. So that you can applaud that. So we've been working in Tanglewood. This is phase 2. We'll be in Sherwood Village. We started that a couple of years ago, and we'll be finishing up. Washington Heights, did some work there. Now we're coming back. Friar Lane, Tuller Court, Evergreen Woods, the Code House community, that's all at 10 Mile. And Sharon Meadows will be spot repair, and then Denzo Drive. We're also, things are in the works with Oakland County. Apparently they have some extra road dollars, so I believe they're going to be repaving 12 Mile from Telegraph to Northwestern. We're still, and all of what's up there is over 24 million. It has gotten so expensive. A factoid you should know, it costs over $1 million for 1 lane road mile. I'm not talking about a whole road. I'm talking 1 lane of a road in construction costs and cement. And cement or concrete has gone through the roof, the price of that. So that creates a bigger challenge for us. So in places we're doing curb and gutter and then blacktop instead of concrete. It is a little less expensive. Citywide, we're on a major digitization effort. We have stuff in Iron Mountain, and we have tons of stuff in the basement, and you know, people come and go, and then some people forget, you know, where are these records? And so everything is now in HR and finance. They're pretty well underway, but building, planning, and public works departments are starting this initiative. So the number one question I get, other than when are they going to pick the sticks up or the branches up outside my house, the number one question always is Northland. And I'll just say very quickly about the branches. It's been hell. I mean, that's the only way I can say it. With all these storms, and if it wasn't sleet and ice, then it was wind. We lost hundreds of trees in the city. And the same people that salt the streets and plow the snow and patch potholes are the same people that go around and pick up the tree debris. So we're asking everybody to be patient. I think we're going to be caught up by mid-April. Of course, next week starts regular yard waste collection, and the chippers will be out. We have 2 chipper trucks, and we've hired a contractor. So, and they've been working 6 days a week. So if we haven't gotten to you yet, understand. And then we've had folks decide, oh, well, the city's going to come and pick up all these branches, so I'm going to do some tree trimming. So we have even more that's not storm-related. But anyhow, we're going to get there. So Northland. You may remember that the city purchased Northland in 2015, December, we closed. And it was the biggest undertaking the city's ever done. And why did the city do it? Because it's the gateway to Southfield. It's a very important logistically with the freeways and so on, an 8-mile road. But there was nobody coming along that really had a plan for 115 acres. And there was a company from California talking about a private prison and a rehab center for felons. I said, we didn't want that. I mean, not that those things aren't important. We just didn't want it there. It's not the best use for the property. So we went to the community in 2016. Maybe some of you participated in this. And we did a survey. What would you like to see at Northland? And from that came a vision. And then we shopped our vision. And then the negativity rolled in. No one's going to build your vision. And our vision is what's being built now. It's going to be a community within a community. It wasn't going to be a shopping center, but it was going to have neighborhood retail and residential, walking, outdoor green spaces, and so on. And so was shopping that project and another, and in February of 2020, just before the pandemic, somebody called me up and said, do you want to meet these guys? They're a family company out of Bloomfield Hills, but they're highly successful. They're called Contour. And so I had them come in early February. And I've told this story many times, so if you've heard it already, forgive me. But I have this speech that I do. I've done it probably 1,000 times. It's why you should develop in Southfield. And I go down the list of our library, our police, our fire, our response times, our parks, our 800 acres. We're a city in the black, and you know, it's well managed and all of those things. And in the middle of this speech, they hold up their hand and say, stop. We want to be here. We want to invest in Southfield. And I thought, are these people for real? And I researched them. And what they do at Contour, they go into communities that are sort of, you know, sort of had their glory day, either a community or a section or a part of a community. So they've worked in College Park, Georgia, Greenville, South Carolina, in Montgomery, Alabama. We went down to Toledo and saw the work that they've done in Toledo in a neighborhood there, and they bring them back to life. They're about renewal, and they're anyhow, you'll see that they're doing several projects for us. But we had so much negativity about this vision. People kept saying, Ken, no one's going to build that. There's no market for that. You need to take a factory. You need to take this logistics center. Logistics center, that would have been 200 trucks every day on our roads. And we had offers for logistics centers. You better take this because no one's coming along. But we waited. And then we now have our vision being built. Very complicated financing. The first phase is $403 million, and they had the financing. There were, over the years, everybody that owned Northland put in easements. So for instance, when Penny's came to Northland, they gave them 10 acres of parking, 1,300 parking spaces, all on Greenfield. That's Montgomery Ward Auto Service Center. Also had 1,300 parking spaces for a 2-acre, 12 garage. You know, they just handed this stuff out. They had sewer easements, driveway easements, utility easements, you know, one thing after another. Anyhow, 33 of them, about 900 pages of legal stuff. And we untangled it all. We reversed the easements. We also had supply chain issues, and then it's a site, you know, there was a Firestone store there. There were environmental issues. There were asbestos, lead. So we've cleaned it up. So this is the site of the former Penny store. And what's happened is the mall was built, as you know, opened March 22nd, 1954. It was a wild success, 80 stores and a Hudson's. But how did it get constructed during World War, or rather the Korean War? The federal government allowed them to have steel and concrete because they built a bomb shelter. They built it, and the original foundations can go up 7 stories. It's that well. And for us to have torn it down and cleared the site would have been $14 million on our dime, So it's not on our dime. So what Contour has done is they're getting rid of anything that was not the original mall. So they've stripped. Hudson's is saved. We're all going back to Hudson's as Hudson City Market. The Penny's is gone. It was an ugly building. But I also want you to know that they have recycled everything. Even so, it's adaptive reuse, and what they're not using is being recycled. I'll show you a picture in a minute. But brick, steel, asphalt, aluminum, concrete, everything is being recycled. They've demalled the mall. So this is the Hudson's building on the left, and what was the 1974 covering. All that steel will be coming down soon. So here's Building A. If you haven't driven down Greenfield, please do. We have Building A up. Now, the brick is not on it yet. It's going to mimic, when it's done, it's going to look like the Hudson's building with the same color brick and the white posts. Up here, the foundations are in, and the towers, stairway and elevator towers for Building B. Actually, this picture was taken a month ago, and the steel is now up, the first floor steel. Also, the roads are going in. Providence Drive is going to continue where it ends at Northland, or Jail Hudson Drive is going to continue and come in and then out on Greenfield. This is all blacktop. Remember that the parking there? I mean, just a sea of parking. So all of this is going to be recycled. And, you know, all this new drainage is going in. Somewhere over here, as a community benefit, is going to be, remember we always had a downtown police station at Northland? So they're building a community police station. We still have a police station here, but we'll have a second satellite police station at Northland that Contour is building for us and leasing for free to the city of Southfield, our police department. So, housing. This is a passion of mine. And again, we have the struggle of higher interest rates, especially now. I know there's, one of my friends here is from Mishta. I won't identify you, but you know who you are. It's really hard to get Mishta tax credits because there's a lot of competition for this financial support. So I'll come back to that in a minute. High material costs, you know, building supplies have gone through the roof, but we still have a lot going on. And then we've had supply chain issues. So the theme of this, as you may have noticed, is patience and persistence. They say you're supposed to, as you get older, you're supposed to be more patient. Is that right? I think I'm a little better at it, but I feel like government moves too slowly. And, you know, we get started on something. I'm very task-oriented. I'm ready. Let's get it done. So this is a project that we announced when we bought the vacant, boarded-up school with the broken windows in 2018. Of course, we had neighborhood issues to overcome, traffic. Anyhow, I'm pleased to tell you that work has started on what's going to be McKinley Place. So McKinley School was built in 1929. It was built by Lee Baker, the developer of Washington Heights and Washington Village. And he built the school just like Louise Lathrop built the school on Southfield Road to attract people to Southfield, then Southfield Township. So it's the only college Gothic architecture in the city of Southfield. And I really felt very strongly it was worth saving. So you have the playfield next to it, and in the playfield, we're going to build English tutor houses. These aren't, every unit is going to have a two-car garage. One of the fears in the neighborhood was, well, this is going to be low-income housing. This is not low-income housing. We're doing affordable housing other places, but it's not appropriate here, given the size of the home in Washington Heights. So these are what I like to call two-family homes, 2,200 feet, sizable. Again, in the back, two-car garages for each unit. And it'll match the school. And I'm really excited because I didn't know the developer was going to do this, but I went over Friday to take another look at how things are progressing. And they're going to put a slate roof on this school. The slate was delivered. It's going to be very, very nice. So what's happened so far is this is where the portable classrooms were. They were dreadful. The ceilings had collapsed in them because they hadn't had heat since 2015. All of the classroom walls have been, they've gutted the inside. But what's you know how school hallways are wide, and why are they wide? Because you've got hundreds of kids passing. But in a residence, you don't need those wide halls. So luckily at McKinley, the hall walls were not load-bearing. So what's actually going to happen, here's a unit, it's going to come out to here, 3 feet out into the hallway on either side. So these are going to be quite large, these units. The smallest one is about 950 square feet. The largest are going to be 2,500 in this complex. So this is also being done by contour companies, and we're extremely pleased. Now, we have another closed school. Our demographics in our city has changed. People are having fewer children. We're skewing older. And so we don't need all the schools we had. And so what do you do with them? Tear them down? Well, I believe in turning them into housing or finding an alternative use. So John Gray School has been closed for years. Keep your fingers crossed, everybody. We are applying Monday for a MISTA. Third time is going to be a charm, the financing for this. But this is going to be a 60-unit subsidized senior housing. We know we have a demand for senior housing. We absolutely do. And we know that at McDonald Towers, River Park Place, and Woodridge, we have a waiting list. We don't advertise because they're safe, they've been remodeled, they've got amenities. And so this is going, again, we have a waiting list in these 3 buildings. So consequently, we're hoping that this gets built. One of the other things that I hear from especially people whose children, they're empty nesters now, everything, their world is here. Their church, their family, their friends, their social life. But they don't necessarily want that 4-bedroom house anymore. They don't want the yard, but they want to stay here. And so this complex, Deerbrook, on Duns Scotus, just north of 9 Mile and Lasher, will have first-floor masters. It's condominiums. It'll be mid-range. But for instance, if you've paid for your house, you should be able to sell it and then buy a condo and stay in Southfield. I don't want to lose anybody. I want you to all stay here. So the first part of the development is here, and they've built these houses. But then all of this, which is all staked out, these will be the condos. So it's coming along. Again, Contour Company. They do total renovation. The former owner of this apartment complex was Atrium Apartments. Honestly, they were not good. They were not good for us, and they were not good to their tenants. They had a fire in the building. They never repaired it. Elevator went down. They boarded it over as if it never existed. There were roof leaks. I would get complaints from tenants there. And so Contour bought it, and it's undergone a total guts. You know, it's not about making it look pretty. It's about the guts of the building. There's a new roof. There's new elevators. There, new plumbing systems, heating and cooling. So it's become a new building. Over out on Franklin Road, this became very popular. A couple years ago, we approved the townhouses, and now they've added 8 additional. Up here on Central Park Boulevard and the freeway, this was a Hotel Hawthorne Suites, a couple of other names. It's now the Alcove, and it's what we would call workforce housing. It's affordable housing in the former extended stay hotel. Then SF Community Development, over the past year, has acquired 12 acres on Garner Street. And this will be single-family housing. This being Telegraph Road, Garner is like 9.5. And this is where the Enterprise Center is. All of this will be about 40 new homes. And people are looking for new homes. So we still see quite a bit of infill housing going on across Southfield. We've had 8 permits pulled this year. And this is on Silver Maple. This house is on Virginia, just sold for $420,000. Yeah. Then again, affordable housing. You know, to make a vibrant community, you need a mix of housing. And that's one thing, really, Southfield's had a great variety of housing. So we are, thanks to the city council, they changed the zoning to allow duplex housing on large lots in neighborhoods. So this is, and this is in our partnership with Habitat. Again, this housing is similar to the housing that's already in the neighborhood. So it's not, size-wise, it's not, it's affordable. It's compatible with the neighborhood. You know, again, we're very sensitive to that. And they'll be building on 3 more large lots. The groundbreaking is next week for more of these condos, or rather duplexes. So I haven't reported on Parks and Rec in a while, and a lot's happening. But the challenges for our Parks and Rec department have been that when you have a recession, and we lost property values 12 years ago, because of Headley, and this all benefits us, except where it doesn't work is for the library and city operations and Parks and Rec. The tax the millage does not automatically come back to what it was. Even so, property values have improved. So it has a long-term impact. Our budget office tells us probably before we get back to property values of 2010, it'll be probably 2032. So anyhow, loss of revenue during the pandemic, aging equipment and facilities, supply chain issues, but a lot is happening in our parks. Most of our facilities are old, and also times change, people's tastes change. And then our demographic is changing. As we're getting older, people are interested now in pickleball, which is something that you know, wasn't happening here. So now we have pickleball. But, and by the way, the tennis courts over here, they'll start work on them soon, resurfacing those. That's not in this. But Miller Park, and again, people like to walk in their neighborhoods. So we're doing neighborhood paths. We have tons of people in the pavilion every morning walking. So 3 half-court and 1 full-court basketball, pickleball, and ADA access. It's been completed. Sims Park, same thing, completed. This was last fall. Baverick Woods, now more is coming here, and we're applying for another grant to do a lavatory there. But what's been done so far is $24,000. The pathway that you see here is the one I referred to additionally. This came from a grant that our state senator, Jeremy Moss, secured for us. So we're appreciative of his efforts. Anyhow, we improved the sight lines because honestly, some people are up to mischief there sometimes. Evergreen Hills, we have new golf carts. redesigning the holes. They're going to be redoing the bunkers and sand pits and a number of other things. Civic Center Park has new placescape, and Freeway Park the same. Sports arena, $183,000 investment with new entry doors, flooring, scoreboards, kick plates, sound system. We had the original 1990 or 1974 sound system in there, so I think it was time. We got our money's worth. Beechwood still, although we don't have a golf course there, we still do the driving range, and we've invested updating that. The Southfield Pavilion will get a makeover of $500,000. It's a half matching grant. New carpeting, furniture, moving walls. Our mobile stage that we use for concerts and events is very old and it's falling apart. So we're purchasing a new stage. Miller Park will have more work done to it, as will Sims Park, to kind of finish off this is the second phase of what was completed last year. Freeway Park, again, the second phase. Bedford Woods just got a new playground. Bedford Woods is up above 12 Mile, below Southfield Plaza Shopping Center. Evergreen Hills, here's what's going on this year with the pond dredging and the drainage has gotten really bad on the course. So that's the next project. Carpenter Lake Nature Preserve, we'll be spending $1.2 million there in repair and expansion of the parking lot. That park is so popular. Every time I go over there, I always say hello to everybody. And then I say, where are you from? If I don't recognize you, Warren, Farmington, Redford, you know, all over. People love that park. And of course, Southfield. So we're planning to do an educational shelter, but it's not a year-round enclosed. It'll be like a picnic shelter. But year-round restrooms, that's been a complaint. And this is being financed. This is a matching grant. We've gotten $600,000 from Michigan Economic Development, and we had to kick in $600,000. So very exciting. The county got a lot of money from the COVID relief, and they've picked a number of particularly South Oakland diverse communities to spend this money. So Southfield and Royal Oak Township, Montu are getting funds for park redevelopment, several other places, Madison Heights. So we're doing a splash pad there and new playground, parking lot, and a second entrance off Beach Road, because you have only one entrance. And then, we're operating this park in cooperation with Oakland County. It's still a Southfield Park, and it still will have Southfield programming, but it's in conjunction with Oakland County. Again, they're putting money into this park to redevelop it. And it needs to, because we want a walking trail there, we want other things. It's not going to be a golf course again. And I'll just say about the golf courses. We were subsidizing 2 courses because we didn't have enough customers by about $390,000 a year. With 1 course, there's no subsidy. So in other words, it's our money's being better used. This is County Exec Dave Coulter, our City Council here, myself, at the dedication of this, or in the announcement of this shared governance. So again, to recap in Parks and Rec, patience and persistence. We're planning to spend this year almost $8 million in parks. And then with the following grants 4.5 million for Beach Woods, 600,000 for Carpenter Lake, and 250 for the Southfield Pavilion. So and it's time. We need to invest. So another phase of this is our town-gown relationship with Lawrence Tech. In my view, we are extremely lucky to have this university as one of our anchors in this city. The things that happen at this private school, which, by the way, was the only institution of higher ed that gained students this year. There are fewer kids coming out of high school these days. The birth rate had been down. And Lawrence Tech's enrollment is up. Of course, they've added all these sports. They've made it a college campus. They've got 1,000 kids living on campus, which is good for us because they're shopping here, they're using our restaurants, our gas stations, and so on. Of course, the challenge is the higher cost of education. They really work their alumni, by the way, meeting common goals and maintaining and strengthening our partnership. So Lawrence Tech celebrated its 90th anniversary last fall. They did the students put together a phenomenal drone show with all these figures in the sky. Of course, they've been here for 67 of their 90 years, and they're not going anywhere. And they're growing. One of the things that they've opened a college of health sciences, and I think this is very, very smart. Health is a big business, and you need to prepare people for the various facets of healthcare. And so, you know, this is a school about management, architecture, engineering, have been their mainstays, but they've gotten big time into the related health care fields. So they have a nursing program, physician assistant, cardiovascular perfusion, which I'm not quite sure what that is, but it's something to do with the heart. And then this healthcare management. Obviously, you need people to administer. They do a lot with, you know, fiber steel for construction. So now they're offering a new program in concrete management. Again, there's a need for this. They have a leadership certificate program that any of us can take. You don't have to be, it's an adjunct program. Their ethical use of AI, artificial intelligence, integration of artificial reality and virtual reality in their program. And this is something that I'm really, really pleased about. Specs Howard was going under. And it's been here for years, Specs Howard School of Broadcast. And so it was teetering on extinction, and Lawrence Tech came in and took it. So it's now part of their curriculum. The program lives, and they're still calling it Specs Howard. Very, very pleased with that. So their partnership with Rockwell Robotics, they've opened a new lab thanks to Rockwell. And I talk about this every year. You know, the city joined this partnership with Lawrence Tech and Michigan Economic Development Corporation and a number of others a number of years ago. And it's called the Accelerator, the Business Accelerator, and it is a business incubator. And the statistics, I'm not going to read them all, but you can see here tremendous success. And many of these people are folks that are graduating from LTU. We want that talent to stay here in Southfield, or at least in Southeast Michigan. So this is one way we do it. And many of the people that are growing their business are women and minority companies. Very pleased with that. And then this is another great thing that Lawrence Tech, if you've got a student in Southfield Public Schools, or actually it's any Southfield school, not just Southfield Public Schools, you stay on course, keep your eye on the prize. you can go to LTU, $85,000 gift for 4 years on a full ride scholarship. Tremendous. And then I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to miss it on the 21st. But you can come over to Lawrence Tech, and I don't know. I'm just so moved by the creativity of these students over there. So they have their research day, the things that they've developed there. It's incredible. It's just, you know, you look at this and you think, wow. And the brilliance, the talent, but also there's hope for tomorrow. You know, we've got people coming up that are really doing great things. LTU likes to brag that it's 5th in the U.S. according to Brookings Institution of preparing grads for well-paying jobs. LTU grads are in the highest salaries in the state. 92% go on to employment or advanced degrees. There's a man in the audience tonight whose son is just getting his master's in LTU, at LTU in, Peter, what is it? Mechanical engineering, a master's, you know. And this is a young man. I met him for the first time at the science fair at Levy School, a long time ago. But anyhow, and then we have something called CHORE. And unfortunately, CHORE is funded through community development block grants. We used to get $1 million. It's now down to less than $400,000. And we spend it on SHIP, our home improvement program that lends money for people to fix their homes, and also CHORE, which are grants to senior citizens living in homes that we want people to age in place, but it gets to be too much, and maybe the home is paid for, they don't want to move, but you know, you got this plumbing leak and they're on a limited income. And so one of the things they were spending money, their CHORE dollars with, was on lawn care. And so I went to Lawrence Tech and said, I know the scholar athletes all need to get community service credits. So we've had over 1,500 kids do about 120 yards of senior and handicapped people every fall. And we wouldn't have this program if it weren't for I mean, we get other volunteers, but not in the numbers and the young muscle that these kids bring. So this is something I started 7 years ago when I first became mayor, and it's a program that honestly, I have older residents call me and they're in tears. They're just so moved that, especially when they see these kids out doing the yard work, you know, it's really touching. So sustainability is the last section. We really have to look at as a society, and every community has to do its part, and all as individuals, we have to do our part. Whether you believe in global warming or not, I do. And things aren't like they used to be with some of the storms we've had. I don't remember this, and these weather swings and so on. But we have to think about doing things differently for for water, for air, so that we don't keep putting everything in a landfill. So we've kicked off this year a sustainability. We've been doing things, but now we've stepped it up. So we have a sustainability initiative, and our challenges obviously are funding, policy and regulations, job security and training, and then polarizing political views. As you know, there are those people in elected office, especially nationally, who think it's all a hoax. Years ago, when the former president backed out of the Paris Climate Accord, our city council opted in. for whatever we could do locally. So, so Sustainable Southfield is a program we've launched this year, and very fittingly, we have the butterfly. And what is sustainability? Is designed as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations. In other words, it's not all about us today. We need to think about those who come after. Sustainability in the city. So it includes placemaking, renewable energy, trails, micro-mobility, community, green infrastructure, of course, recycling. We're, existing, and I know this is hard to read, but existing sustainability projects, all the pathways that we're doing and continue to do, we're encouraging people to walk. Don't get in the car, unless you absolutely have to, or take a bike. We have bicycles that you can rent. Our stream bed, this is below Channel 7, had filled in, so we redid it for the health of the stream and the water flow. We've installed in the lower garage of City Hall the first rechargers for cars. Upcoming projects, we've already talked about the butterfly. This is the Rouge Corridor. We're hoping to add to the Valleywoods Trail here from 12 Mile Road down south to 10 Mile. And then solar solutions. We do have wind and solar ordinances in the city, and promoting that. Our action plan, again, I won't read them all, but you can see what we're working on, what our focus is. We have a community advisory board made up of the folks that are here. And if you want to know more about this, you would contact the planning department. Suzanne Hanna is our sustainability coordinator. And then we have education materials through the planning department. And why does sustainable matter to everyone on this planet? And you can, again, I won't go through all of them, but clean water, obviously, gender equality, quality education, good health, zero hunger, all of these things, industry, innovation, and infrastructure, life on land and below water. So these are all things that are important to us. And again, why does it matter to Southfield? 3 reasons: social, economic, and environmental. So that includes our State of the City. I thank you all for coming. I'll do Q&As. And I want to head off. I know there's going to be a question, so I want to start with an answer that I know it's already on the minds of some people in the room. What about the deer? All right. So last fall, this is what I hear constantly. Oh, don't kill the deer. I love Bambi. I moved here for the wildlife. They're so beautiful. They are. And then all my landscaping and so on and so forth. And so we really didn't know. I mean, you hear all this stuff, but we had no way of knowing what's the temperature, the real temperature. So we put this advisory question on the ballot, and if you didn't hear, 62% of voters said we need to cull the herd. All right, so what do we do next? Well, we're talking to Farmington Hills because they're interested. But there's no sense in culling the herd because deer don't respect municipal boundaries. So we need some partners, but this is a question that's coming back before City Council. The city administrator, in the initial work we're doing, we're in budget right now for next year, has earmarked $150,000 for this. Now comes the rub. So let's say Farmington goes in with us. How do you cull the herd? Personally, DNR had told us we could do in January a bow and arrow hunt on vacant land like our nature preserves. We close them, the golf courses are closed. Do it in those places. There's going to be pushback, and some people say, well, that's a cruel way to kill a deer. Sharpshooters. And you can buy, there are actually people out there that do this. They go around and they're sharpshooters and they kill deer. I don't know how the community is going to feel about somebody shooting a rifle in our parks. It makes me a little nervous, quite honestly. So I don't know, the use of the birth control doesn't really work. And our DNR will not allow you to trap and release because deer have specific diseases and they don't want to bring them to some other place in the state. But the thing to remember, if we do have a cull, we're never getting rid of deer. They're never going away. It's just to reduce the numbers. I live near 8 Mile in Southfield. I have 5 deer in my yard. And we have small lots, and we're not in the middle of the woods. It's, you know, pretty much a regular city neighborhood. And if I have 5, I talk to the people over in the ravines, and they have 18, 20 at a time in their yard. So anyhow, I just wanted to head that off because I'm asked that.